You're welcome to the last session of our class on computer maintenance and computer and PC upgrade maintenance. Like I said in our previous class, that today we'll be doing more of a practical session or practical demonstration to round up the class today. So what I'm going to do right now is just do a small review of where we kind of stopped. I think we treated this aspect. Windows, talked about booting in the last class. So let's look at this and then we go into the practical straight. By the time I start with the practical illustration, I'm going to be showing you some devices, how you remove it, how you use it, and just like that, a practical demonstration for you. You see some of these hardware devices, right? So by that time, I'll switch on to my webcam mode. So let's look at computer troubleshooting. What is a troubleshooting? Computer troubleshooting is a process of carrying out investigation into identifying system failure and providing immediate solution. Computer troubleshooting is a process of carrying out investigation into identifying system failure and then providing immediate solution. So the process by which you identify the problem that the computer has and then being able to provide a solution to that problem, that process is known as the computer troubleshooting. Now, usually there are two types of system failure. We have the hardware failure and we also have the software failure. Okay, the system can have problem either by nature of hardware or by nature of the software. So that's why we have to look at the configurations of computer in form of hardware and the software so that we can be able to understand the hardware components clearly, what they do, and then the software components. Hardware failure. These are computer failures that are related to the basic components or peripheral of the computer system. Examples of such components are hard disk, memory, CD or DVD-ROM, processor, sound card, VGA card, keyboard, printer, and the monitor. Okay, so when these physical components or these peripherals of computer, by the time whenever they break down or when they fail to respond, okay, that is when we have a hardware related failure. When the hard disk is supposed to respond, is supposed to load the software, or when the memory does not allow the system, to boot, or the rest like that. So, or the VGA card does not allow you to be able to see the screen. So those are the various hardware components. Now, what are the software failure? They are computer failures that are related to the software installed on a computer system. Examples are the system software, application software, utility software, productivity software, and the rest like that. So when a failure is related to the software of a computer, then it is said to be a software failure. And what are the various software that can have issues? We have the system software that we also know as operating system. We have the application software that we also known as application package. We also have the utility software. We have the productivity software and rest like that. So I won't be boggling myself much on that because we already discussed on all this, explained on all this software. The successful carrying out of basic system troubleshooting, a working peripheral must be available to test and replace the component. Now, in troubleshooting, for you to successfully carry out a basic system troubleshooting, for you to successfully determine where the problem came from, there is need, especially when it comes to hardware failure, there is need for you to have a working peripheral. There is need for you to have a working basic hardware component like an extra that you know is working fine, okay? So that you can be able to replace that component that you may have suspected to be the cause of the failure. Okay, are you getting me now? So, because if, let's say, if my memory card, for example, has an issue, if my memory card has an issue, if I don't have a spare memory card, how will I be able to detect that yes, it is the memory card that has issue? How will I be able to detect that it is the memory card that has issue? It is when I have a spare that I'm confident that it's working fine, okay, that I've tested in another computer that is working fine, then it can help me to successfully test, you know, the computer and confirm that it is memory that has an issue, okay? That's the memory that has an issue. So you must have a spare of that component, okay? Now, before we go further, I really want to switch for us to look at 10 ways to care for your computer system. Because sometimes some of the reason why we have system failure is because we fail to care for our system. Sometimes we fail to care for our system, and that is why sometimes we have those unnecessary, we experience those unnecessary failures. Okay, so let's basically look at 10 ways quickly. Number 1, keep drinks and don't eat, keep drinks away from your computer and don't eat directly over the computer. Most of us are guilty of this. We say we can't stand up, we are busy, or when you are watching film. These things are very dangerous to our system. Liquids and electronics are not the same. They are not close friends. Okay, because by that liquid or water, liquid of any type, it could be water, it could be minerals, it could be tea, whatever it is, they are not friends. If a water spills any liquid form of liquid spills on your computer, whether desktop or laptop, you are in for it. It can have an electrical damage. Okay, it can have an electrical damage. So, number 2, protect your computer during lightning storms by installing surge protectors, because surge protectors prevent your electronic appliances from blowing out when lightning strikes. So when you are using your computer and there is lightning, maybe because of the rain that wants to fall, there is lightning, you need a surge protector. If you don't have a surge protector, the best thing is to unplug your device from the wall socket. Even when you have there is an effective hardening in your home system, just unplug your device. Unplug your device if you don't have a surge protector. Okay. Don't put your laptop on the floor. Don't put your laptop on the floor. And this is because, number 1, the fans can suck in the air. And then this can, suck in the dust or dirt that will now clog inside and reduce the performance of your system. So your system will just basically be accumulating dust that will cause issues and allow your system not to be effective. So sometimes you now say, my system is slow, my system is slow. Not because it is slow, but because you've allowed it to suck in dust. Okay, because of the fan and while blowing, it's just sucking dust, and then you have issues. So make sure the fan vents underneath your laptop are kept clear. This prevents damage by overheating. So ensure that you always have a space, so that there's no overheating in your system. Here in Nigeria, we don't have what do you call it now? We don't usually operate our systems where there is ACs for bullet cooling system, so you have to be sensitive to that. Now, if you are using a lithium battery laptop, okay, always ensure that your laptop battery does not run out completely. So most people are guilty of this. You allow your laptop battery to run out completely. That is why it is good to always set your laptop that once it is at a particular percentage, it should alert you of low battery, and then so that it can quickly shut down. Okay, so it's available. You set it as 20%, 25%, or 30%. Okay, so that you can always have a reserve of your battery. Keep magnets away from your computers. Keep magnets away from your computers. Why? Because magnets can wipe off all the information you have on your hard drive. Can wipe off all the information on your hard drive. And never can tell where your hard drive will be located, especially your laptop. Now, when plugging external devices like short USB cables and the rest, ensure that you don't force them in. Don't force them in. Let them enter gently, so that you don't damage any internal components. Okay. Regularly scan your computer with a certified up-to-date antivirus or antivirus software. The last thing you want to do, trust me, is to allow virus to corrupt your system or for hackers to steal your information. So regularly find a way to update your antivirus and scan your system. Defragment your hard disk from time to time to improve your performance. Sometimes most people complain, my hard disk was not low, my system is not low before, but now it's usually slow. Defragment your hard disk. Defragment your hard disk from time to time. When you defragment, it allows you to be able to the system to be able to delete old and junk files that are accumulating unnecessary space on your system, either on your hard disk or your memory files and rest like that. Then lastly, back up your data on a regular basis. Back up your data on a regular basis. If something happen to your computer, you know you are safe. You won't lose your vital information. You be sure that you don't lose vital information. So basically, I just switch to webcam mode. I'll switch to webcam mode. So you, while I talk about some problems that you could have with your systems, okay. All right. While I talk about the problems you could have with your system, we're going to be looking at it simultaneously. Okay. Just a minute, I want to drag my screen. All right. Now, the last class we talked about the components inside a CPU or a computer system, as the case may be. All right. Now, this you are seeing here is an example of a motherboard. This is how a motherboard looks like. This is the motherboard of a desktop computer. Okay. This is the motherboard of a desktop computer. So now I'll begin to identify the components for you. This is what I called the other day, in my material, you could see this. This is the fan. Okay, it is cooling fan. This one here, where this cooling fan sits on, is called the heatsink. All right, it's called the heatsink. Now let's see if I can I want to open it up so you could see the processor. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. Can see? Can see this is the heatsink that sits on your processor. It sits on the processor. This is a processor. So basically, what the heatsink is, it absorbs the heat generated by the processor and then the cooling fan cools down this heatsink so that it can be able to absorb more. This is how your processor looks like. For those of us who may have not seen a processor before, you can see where it sits here. This is how your processor looks like. Okay, so I'm going to quickly rush the demonstration. We don't have much time. The here is where this is called your memory card. This is how your memory card looks like. Okay, this is how your memory card looks like. And then here is called what we call the memory bank. This slot here is memory bank, and this is where the memory card sits on. This is where your memory card sits on. Okay, put it in and then it sits. All right, that's where your memory card sits on. Here is where you connect the power socket from your power pack. Okay, from your power pack. This is an example of how the power pack looks like. This is a power pack. Okay, this is a power pack. You plug in a power source here, and this one can also feed, your monitor. It's a two-way power source for a power pack. It also has its own fan. Okay, and then it has its connector, and you connect that one I showed you on the. You need to connect through here. Look at this point I just showed you now, where you connect your power. Okay, they're not the same. They're not the same size. Okay. So what again? Now we have what's called cards. Cards. This is a USB card. You can see the USB port where you can plug in your USB device. Okay. Then this is a LAN card where you can plug in your LAN cable. Where you can plug in your LAN cable, your LAN card, your USB card. And basically what we do is that here is where we can plug in your cards. And basically what cards are for is to be able to create an extension. So if at any point in time, any of these ports damage, you can use this extension. So here we have the USB ports, you also have the LAN ports here. So if any of these get damaged, you can replace with a card slot and then put here. Or you can see that. Okay, it's seated. So you can see. Okay, this is where you have the card, the ports all at the back. Okay, so that's how you use the card itself. Okay, so let's do some identification here like we did in the book. Here is the PS2 port. Okay, you have the green color up, you have the purple color down. So each one color code is meant for either your keyboard or your mouse. Okay, this is a parallel port. This pink one that is white is a parallel port. This is the VGA port. This blue one, the VGA port. This one with pin is called the COM port, C-O-M, COM port. You have the USB ports here. Okay, USB port. Then you have the LAN port up here. There's your LAN port. Then you have the sound ports or the sound ports here. So you have the in, you have the mic in, you have the sound out, and the rest like that. Okay, so what again? I'm not missing anything here. Then here you have what we call the Cmos battery. This is a Cmos battery. This is a Cmos battery. Okay, and what the Cmos battery does is that it helps to ensure that the time on your system is correct and accurate. Okay, it helps to ensure that you discover that anytime you shut down your system, and you on it back again, you discover that the time is correct. Okay, the time is always correct. It is the work of this Cmos battery. So that even when your main power source is off, okay, even when the main power source is off, it keeps on generating, power to other components of the board so that they can be up to date. Okay. Now let's quickly talk about some of the failures associated with this part that we've been able to identify and how to resolve them. Okay. Now let me give us I will be using a real life case scenario of what you could experience, and I will appreciate if you can also share with me some of the real life experience you've had with computers not working, so that we can put heads together to profile or to suggest a solution. Okay, so we should troubleshoot it together. Now, there are cases where when you put on your system, you press the power button, and then you begin to hear sound. The system begins to give you sound. It could be a beep sound, ping, ping, ping. It could be a long sound, ping. Okay, as long as it's a sound. Most times when you give you such sounds, it will not boot. What means that your system screen will not show anything, will just be hearing sound. What it means in that scenario is that you check your memory. When you power your system, even if it's a laptop, once it gives you a sound, either a beep sound or a long sound, you suspect your memory card. So basically what you do is you remove your memory card, clean this surface that sits. Okay, this surface here that sits on the board, you clean it. You could use your hand, and most of your hand is dirty. You use a clean clothes, damp clothes, you clean it off. But sometimes if it's dirty, it will prevent communication from flowing between the memory card and the board. Okay. When you clean this surface, you also go to the memory bank. Okay. You also go to the memory bank. Just a minute. The memory bank is here. You also blow it, because it could be that dust has settled inside this memory bank and then prevents communication from this memory card with your board. So you blow off the inside too. Okay, you blow off the inside. So you can use your mouth to blow it, or you get a blower. There's a machine that we call a blower. You blow it off. You clean this place, you put it back. If the simple problem is just this dust, your system will pick. But when you restart, it will not give you that sound again. However, if after doing that, it still gives you that sound, okay, then go and get an extra memory card that you know is working on our system. Okay, and ensure that it is the same type, because we have different types. We have the SD RAM, we have the DD RAM. So you have to be sure which one your system is using. Is it the SD type or the DD type? And you can easily identify it. One has two holes here. You can see there's one hole here, there's another hole here. So however, one has just one single hole, so you'll be able to know which one sits perfectly on your system. Okay, so you get the one that is fair, that is working fine, you put it there, and I'm very sure it will work. It will solve that sound. That is how to resolve the memory problem. Okay, that's how to troubleshoot and resolve memory problem associated with your system. Now, another problem we can have is when you power up your system, it does not, the screen does not show at all. The screen does not show, but there's power is entering. There's power, so it's not showing screen. What could be the problem? Number one, it could be that the power is not entering inside that system. It could be that power is not entering that system. So the first thing, you want to check your power source from the socket to be sure that there's light inside that socket. Okay, when you are sure that there's light inside that socket, then you check your power cable. Okay, if it's a desktop computer, ensure that that power cable is good. If you have a spare, use a spare to be sure the power cable is fixed. If it's a laptop system, get another charger. It could be the charger, get another charger head to test. If you are not sure of the power, your charger, okay. After you graduate from there and you are sure that the power socket, there's the power in the socket, the power cable or your charger is okay, the next thing you want to do Okay. All right. So sorry for the break in transmission. I'll quickly rush the 5 minutes we have. So I think I was on the fact that when you power your system, it doesn't show. Okay, so you need to look at the after you check the power pack, you see that his power pack is working. The next thing is you want to check your board. Okay, and where you go to is your processor. If all this line of troubleshooting from the wall socket to your power pack, they are all fine. You've confirmed that they are fine by the placement and by troubleshoot by being, reaffirming yourself. You want to check the board and go straight to the processor. It could be that you remove the processor, okay, you clean up the surface of that processor, okay, then you put it back, or you clean it up and put it back. Then you try and power up the system back again. If it's a laptop, you want to check the charging port, okay, usually the ones that does not have battery. You want to check the charging port. Usually if you have a charging issue, you check the charging port. But for a laptop, because you usually have a backup battery, the system will still boot at that point in time. Okay, so you want to check your processor. Now, if your processor works, okay, if you power your system and then it shows you the startup screen, you power your system, it shows you the startup screen, but it doesn't boot to Windows environment. It will show you the component of your computer, the memory you have, the manufacturer's details, blah 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 blah, but doesn't boot to the software to Windows. Then you have to check that, and you know that is an operating system software failure issue. That is a software failure issue. And one of the things you can have is it could show you that NTLDR file missing. You could have that information that NTLDR file is missing, or a bootable file is missing. Then you know it is a software issue, which is associated with your operating system. Then you need to reload that system. Okay, you need to reload that system. Okay, so now let's quickly go to the software related issues, because I have limited time and today is our last class. For software related issues, when you are working, you discover that the application you are using, especially application software, always breaks down. Maybe you are working using CorelDRAW, and when by the time you are working, it just closes on its own. Or when you try to open that software, it does not respond. It tries to open, sometimes it tries to open and then cuts off along the way. Then you know the software has an issue. So the solution is reinstall that software, restart your system, and then reinstall the software again. Okay, install the software, uninstall the software, restart your computer, and then reinstall that software to resolve that issue. And sometimes your system, you discover that your system is slow or is hanging occasionally. Okay, it could be that it has been infected with the virus, or some of the operating files of that operating system are becoming unstable. Okay, so the best thing for you is to do a backup of your files and then reload that operating system. Okay, you need to reload that operating system so that you don't lose track of what that you are doing. Sometimes you discover that you are trying to burn a file to a CD-ROM. Okay, or you check my computer and you can't see your CD-ROM drive or your DVD drive. Then it could mean that probably that hardware is not connected or well connected to your computer. I really want to quickly show you how this looks like for those of us who may have not seen the hard disk before. This is how hard disk looks like. Okay, but now we have the smaller type, which looks like the one that we use for laptops. Okay, I don't have that one here, it's inside. Okay, I'm just inside my studio right here. It's my computer lab. Okay, so that's a good example of. Okay, my time is up. Okay, I told you the class to send me a mail so I can send you your assignments, but it's a pity that only few of you, this is a 4 level class, only few of you responded. Okay, so However, I also noticed that in submitting your assignment, you are not being professional about it. How can you send me an assignment written as a composed mail? You don't expect me to start extracting that and or printing that and marking that for you. You send me an assignment with no name, okay, no name, no class, no center or whatever, no registration, no matric number. A standard way of submitting assignment is you answer your question in the Word document. I sent you a Word document, so I expect that you answer the question inside that Word document, and then in the beginning you put your name, your center, your matric number, your level, before you send it back to me as an attachment. If you send me an assignment as if it's a composed email, I will not respond to it, okay? I will not treat it. If you send an assignment, even in Word document, your name is not there, your matric number, your full details is not there, I will not respond to it. So don't hold me accountable. I'm saying it now, okay? And my coordinator is a witness. Don't hold me accountable if I don't treat your assignment. If it's not well done, I will not recognize it. So you have to be responsible. You have to be to show that you are, you are someone that's coordinated. You know what you are doing. Okay. So I've given you an heads up now. If you know, go and check your assignment that you sent to me. For those of you that have responded, and be sure that you have complied with all these things that I've told you. That I just told you about, and then resend it. If you are sure, resend to me, because I'll start marking your assignment as from today. Okay, so that's the end of my class for today. You can go and